Aussie rockers Spacey Jane have a new album just released. It's called Here Comes Everybody. And here comes Caleb Harper to give us the inside scoop on how it was made. You're going to be over here sometime soon, but
very soon, yeah.
Got the album coming out even sooner, and it's called Here Comes Everybody. Now,
yes.
I'm a Wilco fan, so I know where the title came from, but tell me why you decided to go with it.
Well, I mean, I love that record very much, and it's probably one of my favorite of all time. I read about that as the working title years ago and then rediscovered it while we were working on this record, just sort of reading up on Wilco, as you kind of do with bands you love. You sort of find a little rabbit hole of information. And I just liked the sort of the idea that it could have two meanings. If you looked at it from the perspective of being part of the everybody, it's an empowering phrase. And if you felt like you were alone and everybody was there, it's kind of this intimidating phrase. And I liked the sort of duality of it in that sense.
And what drew you just to Wilco in general? Because I would have thought you might be too young to be a Wilco fan.
Well, my stepdad's a big Wilco fan. He put me onto Summer Teeth and Yankee Hotel back when I was younger, and I've listened to every record since and been a big fan for many years now.
Very good, very good, cool. So the record's coming out shortly. When did this your second album? So there's always talk about how the second album is the hardest, sophomore jinx and all that stuff. Did you feel any pressure on it?
Yeah, definitely. I guess we yet to see if that rings true for us. For sure. I mean, we put the first record out. There's that sort of analogy that I've used of like, it's like a toddler giving you a drawing, a 3-year-old giving you a drawing. You're like, yeah, it's great, whatever. Like, it's easy to sort of, people didn't expect much, and definitely felt like the expectation is there now, and we put our heart into something that we want people to love, and they have an expectation. So yeah, it's the nerves are there for sure, and we hope people like it.
Cool. So when did it start becoming an album? When did the germ of it happen?
Yeah, it started initially before the first record came out, sort of March 2020, when everything stopped, and it was like, all right, better do something, and writing was the only option seemingly. No touring, and aside from sort of the cursed Instagram live sort of concerts and all that sort of thing, it was like, okay, I'm going to create, and it sort of was born out of that anxiety, I think, of the panic that people in music, but people generally experienced, I think.
Right. So you did a bunch of online live things, did you, as a band? Oh.
Yeah, like so many, like, Q&As and streaming ourselves doing whatever, just to, like, I guess, maintain that engagement, because playing shows is the thing that connects us to our audience, and losing that was like, oh, damn, what do we do now?
Right. And as a musician, it's got to be much better to be in front of an audience than in front of a camera, right? And a screen.
Yes, absolutely. That's what we live for. It's always been our favorite part of the job. And so to be doing that again is great. And to not be doing that was pretty bad, pretty rough.
All right. Now, I see you've got a bunch of the songs have been released as videos and singles and all that ahead of time. Anyway, starting out with Sitting Up is the first song on the album, and there's a video along with it. So why is that the first? Why have you chosen to kick off the album with that tune?
Sleeping, sitting up, shaking other hand. He said it looks like I've been drinking, so wasn't that the plan? How's it for an intro? Have you done this before? I said I don't think so, that I couldn't be sure.
We had a joke that, there's a line in that says, how's that for an intro, like in the second part of the first verse.
Right.
And Ashton said, oh, is that like, how's that for an intro to the song? And I said, no, it's talking about the sort of part of the first verse as like depicting a meeting. But so there's kind of, it's a sort of that funny element to it. Like, it's a great way to start a record. But also I liked how clean it was and tight, and it just felt like a really, like a sort of this vacuum of an introduction to a record rather than trying to start big and fast. And I guess that's why.
And when you shot the video, looks like you're in some big empty building. What was going on there?
Yeah. place called the Arboretum in Perth. This really interesting building that they're kind of renovating, and some of it's like commercial lease office space, but really cool, like sort of 60s, something between mid-century and like brutalism, the architecture. And the owners of the building were like, "Oh, we're fans of Spacey Jane. Like, you can have it really cheap if our kids can come down and meet you." We're like, yeah, sure.
Yep.
So no worries at all. And so yeah, we got the building for the day. It was very fun.
And who did somebody have the initial concept in the band for the video? Or did you hire somebody out to come up with an idea, or what?
I had the idea to find these sort of weird spaces and build the cube, and I found a guy that makes those sorts of light installments. He sort of does mostly like DJ sets and things like that, but was really keen to jump on board. And that was the seed of the idea, but there was a team around it that kind of furthered it to where it got.
Gotcha. Now the four of you, you mentioned that you have band meetings, right? And
yes,
I'm interested. I don't know why, but I'm interested in who does what in these bands, because I get the feeling that each of you has a distinct personality, and that must come through during those things. And your drummer is your manager as well, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we've been so self-managed for the last little while. We've just signed a management deal with someone in the US, so he's co-managing now, which is cool.
Okay.
But to get that support in what is, a massive market and
right,
sort of a scary big place.
Yes.
But yeah, Kieran's manager, and he sort of takes charge on lots of admin and sort of holds the meetings. And it's interesting, the roles in the band develop and change all the time. It's a very fluid thing, interestingly enough.
And where is everybody right now? who's Kieran's
what? Kieran's in the lounge room. I don't know where Ashton and Pepper are. They're in town. They're somewhere.
No, but I mean, where are they role-wise in the band?
Well, it's interesting. It's like Kieran and I have been in LA the last month and a half onboarding the new management. And so we've been like very much like in the office and sort of spearheading the album rollout with the label and with management and things like that. And, I write the songs and sort of look after the creative direction, I think, of what the live show looks like and videos and that sort of thing, and try and as best I can coordinate those things, and for the sake of consistency, and work with all the different creative teams we have that are pulling together the graphic design and the videos and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, we've all been doing, there's been lots of full band interviews lately as times change, but Pepper's our bass player and Ashton's on guitar, right? Kieran drum manager, and I'm singer songwriter.
I'm curious because I've done multi-band member interviews, and it's very awkward because everybody's trying to be polite and let the other person talk, and then somebody suddenly has something genius to say and interrupts somebody. Do you guys talk about those things afterwards and go, what the heck?
Yeah. Well, we try and split it up so it's like one or two of us at a time, or it's like if we're doing a full band interview, it's an in-person thing, so you can sort of gauge the room.
Eye contact will help.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the most important thing. But yeah, there's interviews. I mean, it's funny because when the interviews about lyrical content or themes of the record, it's sort of like I'm the only one that's going to answer those questions, so people kind of sit there politely and wait for a question specific to their sort of role or whatever.
Very good. Now, you guys were touring England and Netherlands recently, right?
Yes.
So what was that like over there these days?
It was really cool. I mean, it's my first time in the UK, and our first time touring in Europe and the UK. Really, really amazing. It was great to feel like we had the fan base and the connection with people over there. Obviously, they're very sort of incredible visibility with streaming and things like that these days, where you get a sense of where your audience is and where your crowd is, but to actually step out on stage in front of them is something different completely, and tells you that you may be doing the right thing, which is cool. But it was grueling as well. Australian touring is pretty relaxed for us these days. It's like we fly between cities and someone drives us to the hotel room, and it's all quite comfortable. And this was a lot of this is budget touring, it was really cutting the teeth. A lot of long drives and staying in random places on the motorway, and but still fun, and we didn't kill each other by the end of it, and enjoyed
it's always a plus. And you're going to be here in July, at the end of July.
Yes.
So that's exciting. What can we expect? Lots of songs from the new album, I assume.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long set. I think we're gonna try to put 20 songs in it and go hard. A lot of the album will be in there, and it's gonna be the first time we're sort of bringing a sort of full production style show to New Zealand. Last time we were sort of playing club rooms, and this is a little bit more of a entrance, hopefully. Our last show before the pandemic sort of hit was March 12 in Christchurch, so it's nice to be back.
Yeah,
it was like a full circle situation.
Yeah. Now I was watching the video for Lunchtime. And I made a note. I was going to check your lip to see if you had a scar on your lip or anything.
Oh, good. Just one little paint stroke.
Hope you didn't hurt yourself when you were making that.
No, except I got very cold. It was like freezing in Perth, like the coldest Perth day we had all winter.
Really?
I was covered in water, sitting on a concrete floor in a shed, just having the worst time.
Oh man! Well, what can you tell me about the song? Hopefully, it's
about Lunchtime.
Yeah,
it's about. It's funny. There's a rule, not a rule, an unspoken rule where like we love doing like a fast song or two on a record or a release because it's just like great to play live. It's our favorite song to play live, I'd say, just because it's just got this energy to it, and we bounce around. It's kind of the one that means I have to stay fit for touring because of its the breathiness of the whole thing. But I just wrote it about feeling like everything I'm doing, I'm just doing because, well, I'm doing for no reason. It's just like purposeless living and waking up with a wild hangover on like a Wednesday in the middle of lockdown, being like, what in fuck's name am I doing with my life right now? And how that's sort of been a recurring theme for me, and was especially for me and a lot of people, I think, throughout the pandemic. And like, not just that, but just early 20s as well, like a general sense of aimlessness that I think afflicts people.
Mm-hmm. And I see the most recent thing that you, I think, released was Hard Light. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And there's a video with that. I think it looks like you're on a ferry or some kind of.
Yeah.
But what's going on?
Funny thing about music videos is like often you're forced to like find just a day when you can just get it done. And we had like 3 days off in Melbourne. We're like, all right, Nick, the guy that we were working with, like, we've got a day and we want to do a performance video. How do we make it interesting? And he's like, why don't we just get a boat? And I'm like, yeah, it sounds awesome. Just got a boat and hired it out. It's like a party boat. People sort of do it for weird corporate events and nighttime cruises where everyone gets a bit boozy. Right. And instead it was just us. It was so funny. We're like cruising down the Yarra in Melbourne, and there's like rowing teams rehearsing and people like jogging the footpaths, and it's just blasting, and we're like thrashing around the railing, and yeah, it felt very silly, but you know, you got to do it.
And you're blasting the tune all the time?
Yeah, the whole time.
Oh, good.
Yeah, extremely loud, very embarrassing stuff.
And what's anything exciting you can tell me about Hard Light, the song?
The chorus took me so long to get right, like 10 plus iterations of it. And I remember it was like 40 degrees in Perth when we were recording, and I was sitting in my car with the aircon on because all the rooms in the studio were taken and they were also unair conditioned. And like it finally just came to me, and I ran in and then like tracked a demo version of it. I was like, this is what I want. And it's just a song about like, you know, you have that dream where you like got no pants on at school. It's kind of like that, but through the metaphor of someone rocking up to set and forgetting their lines, and that's like that dream of like having no idea what's going on.
Yep. I mean, I graduated from high school in 1973. I still have a dream that on the last day of school, I've forgotten to hand in the last paper, and I'm not going to graduate. It drives me crazy. It's like
still with you.
Almost 50 years ago.
That sucks.
You just never get over it.
No, I'm looking forward to that in 50 years.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, you guys have been together for a while and you've been through some stuff, but not a whole lot of stuff. Do you feel like you're a different band, and the way you interact is different now than maybe when when you made the first album, when you made Sunlight?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're sort of entering mid late 20s now, as opposed to sort of the 19 we were when we started. And although they, I guess, get bundled in as the same age group, they are vastly different. I think you do so much growing and learning and your early 20s.
Yeah.
We're sort of, it feels like there's this like divergence of becoming very adult in our real personal lives, and this blessing of the band keeping us childish and
Right.
keeping us youthful at the same time. And so I think that it's funny, like I don't feel like we engage that differently. I think we have the silliest times. Like I saw everyone for the first time in 6 weeks, day before yesterday, and it was just good to feel like a kid again, actually, even though we're sort of stressed about the record coming out and we're working so much. It's just like there was a looseness to it, and there's sort of recognizing that, man, we get to do this really cool thing, and it's great. But yeah, I think we probably have learned over time to become more gracious with each other.
Right.
The older we get, I think the less prone to tempers and things, and like knowing that if we're going to do this for the long run, we need to show grace and be patient.
Yeah.
And those are good lessons to learn, especially when you're on the road. Obviously, it's like you really live in people's pockets, and you want to learn how to take time with those things.
Yeah, very good. Well, it sounds all promising for the album release and for when you get here in July. So hopefully you'll be all smiling and happy and in a good mood. And
that's the goal.
Ready to rock out.
Always.
Anyway, thank you very much for taking time to talk to me. Glad we got it sorted out with the Zoom and all that. And looking forward to see you when you get here.
Sounds good. Thanks, buddy.
Righto. Bye-bye.